Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Olo, and today, once again, we're talking about Lost Ark and some very good news in reference to it that most of us never thought we'd actually see. It's finally time that we've had word on the global release. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Lost Ark is a Korean-made isometric camera action RPG. Imagine that Diablo style of game. It's that hack and slash style of combat with both PvE and PvP buffed out with good gameplay systems and fleshed out endgame content. It's like what Diablo 3 could have been, but much more MMO-esque and, well, actually has some proper depth to it. I've actually made a video about this game before, ages ago last year, talking about how it may actually be the most anticipated MMO to come to the West since we've been waiting for it since 2014. You don't need me to say much about this game, you can just look at the gameplay and see how good this thing is. From its crisp visual style and animations to the weighty combat and satisfying playstyle, with a range of classes already updated multiple times, it's in an extremely good state, and if we saw this game come to the West, it'd be like getting a fully fleshed out MMORPG with multiple expansions of content all on day one. So if you'd like to learn more about this game and a proper look at the classes and gameplay, the systems, I strongly recommend you check out my first video. Anyway, the game is very exciting, obviously, but the less exciting side of this, however, is that we've literally been waiting for it for 6 years. All hope was almost lost until last year when I covered the game and topic, when at the time, it had ongoing efforts to release the game outside of Korea at long last. Now, beta testing had been ongoing in both China and Japan, and all the better, there's been ongoing testing in a Lost Ark Russian release too, which has been doing very well. Steadily, they've been moving around regions and stabilizing, and then moving to the next one, which leads us to hope that finally, one day, it would come to the West. And that's where we left it, all the way since last year, and today, I've got some very good news at last. Western release has been confirmed, finally. On the official Lost Ark Facebook page, we had this sort of reply post saying and quoting that we are currently working hard to prepare for a global release. Finally, dude, it's happening, and there's no doubt or hope or logic to break down here. It's just genuinely happening. They're already working on it. It's just a matter of time now, instead of a hopeful maybe. This post came in response to a hopeful player and follower of the game named Matthew asking about potential oceanic servers someday, and it was surprisingly answered with this: "We are currently working hard to prepare for a global release. We can't mark the date yet, but we want to tell you that we're working on it and are looking forward to announcing some good news in the near future. You can always check the latest news about us and the game on the official Facebook or YouTube channel." Clearly, that's where they plan to release the news, and it's coming in, quote, the near future. I'm looking forward to that official video or whatever text post they put alongside it so we can finally get our hands on a real date or area of time that the game is expected to release in the West. I don't think we'll be waiting long for this either, because it was speculated and, well, expected that we'd see this global release official announcement at a gaming conference that was unfortunately cancelled back in April, obviously due to COVID-19. Prior to that, though, they were putting together an international brand for the game development projects of this company. Rather than be a separated sort of form of multiple companies all hosting and managing Lost Ark in their various regions of China, Korea, Japan, and Russia, they're going to bring them all under one wing that can work together much better as a sort of, well, global company. So all signs pointed to a global release with that, and it's a shame that we didn't get to see this news properly announced at this cancelled event. But because of that, I would be shocked if we were waiting very long at all for this announcement to come. Now we've had this Facebook post talking about it already. Now there's some concerns about the mobile version of Lost Ark and how that might actually be what's going to be announced next instead of a global release, which, you know, is still possible. However, mobile gaming is much more of a powerhouse and money-making machine in the East compared to the West, so it would make much more sense for them to release that there first, and since they've not really announced that, and also a full global release of the game would have much more draw and impact than a mobile release of a game in the West that they haven't even been able to play yet, well, more than that ever would. So yeah, I don't really expect this to be about the mobile game. I'm knocking on wood when I say that, and I'm expecting the global release to be the sort of main focus. Now, other than that, it's just a case of how long for the actual release. Like, yeah, we'll get that official announcement soon, but what do we think now about when the game will be released in the West? Ultimately, they've released the game successfully in 3 major regions past the original of Korea, so they've got good experience at this type of thing, making sure it runs well, and the massive task of translating and voicing everything in the correct language does take a long time, but they've got good experience with this process, so I think that'll actually have an impact on the release. It's obviously a game worth waiting for, because I can casually mention this title to friends, and they remember, they know what I'm talking about. I actually had a sort of funny interaction with a friend who asked me if I knew about the game, having never spoke to them about it before. In general, it kind of feels like anyone who's ever been into a Diablo-style game and is into that genre as a whole has some awareness of Lost Ark, and that's for good reason. It's a successful powerhouse of a game, and with that, people have been wanting to play it for years already. So I believe that the interest will not wane to a damaging level if it does take a bit of time to release from the perspective of this core future player base. The game has been continually updated and improved, new content's been added, new classes have been released, and in my video last year, we actually were looking at one of the newer classes released, which was the Holy Knight, a paladin-esque warrior using holy powers for support or even direct combat. It looked great, and I would imagine that on release, we would have access to the majority, if not all the content of the current Korean version. Or maybe they do it similar to Monster Hunter World on PC, where it's sort of an accelerated rate of release of content to catch up to the Korean timeline. It's a massive game after all, and it's been ongoing for years, so it's quite a lot. Once again though, if you'd like to learn more about the game, be sure to check out my original video, and keep your eyes on this channel in general, as we keep a lookout for more Lost Ark news and info towards that global release. Myself, Rage, and Dino are all very hyped about this game, and we're all looking forward to playing it, let alone making any content on it. For now though, that's everything to do with this new news, and I hope it reignited your excitement for Lost Ark, or just made you aware of this crazy game. In the meantime though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you soon for more Lost Ark content.